Welcome to a new fragrance review. Today I'm going to tell you my top 5 disappointment of 2021. So this year there was a lot of release, I would say pretty much as usual, but there was a lot of big release. We can think of every fragrance company, at least the big ones, and they all had something really big that they released. The last one, as I'm recording this video, is obviously Sauvage Elixir. That was big thing, and it's not just them. Every fragrance company made their big hit, their big thing this year. Necessarily a big thing that it's good, but it's a big thing that was a big release. And talking of this, not all of them were good. People were expecting a lot, but they're not all great. I'm gonna go with 2 honorable mention. I need to say that I haven't tried every single release this year. There are some that I want to try that I just haven't got the chance to try yet. Example are Sauvage Elixir, which is weird because it could go everywhere. I don't really want to try this one. I don't really mind about it, but I haven't tried it. And another one that this one I really want to try it. It's Ombre Leather Eau de Parfum. That this one looks really good. From the note breakdown, it seems that it's going to be even better than the original one, though I might be disappointed. Who knows? But I don't think it's gonna happen. But there are some fragrances that were not nice, and 2 honorable mention or dishonorable mention is Burberry Hero at first, and I would say it's not going to be in the top 5 because of disappointment, because it's not something that really is a disappointment, because I was not expecting a lot of the fragrance. It's Burberry, and I wouldn't say it's a bad brand. They make good fragrance, but they don't make something that's a huge hit, like something mind-blowing that everyone should try. So it's not such a disappointment. It's somehow a disappointment because they could have done something else than some boring fragrance like all the other ones ever created. This is why I would just put it in an honorable mention, but it's definitely not one of the good release of this year. And another one that's still not as a disappointment so much, but I think it's not really good. It's Invictus Victory. I don't really like the Invictus line. I wouldn't say that they're bad. I wouldn't say that Invictus Victory is bad at all. I would say it's a good Invictus, but it kind of got stuck in that caramel trend. In the recent release that are really mainstream, it might be even one of the best. It's just that I didn't have a lot of things to expect about it and didn't enjoy it so much. Still, I wouldn't say that it's a bad fragrance. For my taste, is not. So that's why it's just an honorable mention and not in the list. Now for the actual list. Number 5 is Lacoste Blanc Eau de Parfum, the white bottle. And why it's a disappointment is that Lacoste Blanc, the real one, is really nice. Is great. The only bad thing is that it doesn't last long. And with the Eau de Parfum, I would have expected that similar fragrance and with a longer life, which is basically what it is. It's really typical than the original one. It's same feel, but it's really different in the note breakdown, but it still has the same feel. You see that it's a flanker of the original one. It's obvious when you smell it, but still it's different enough to be its own fragrance. And if you like Lacoste Blanc, it can be good to have both in your collection. What is disappointing is that for me, Lacoste Blanc was a really great fragrance with a note of leather for a summer fragrance, and that it's more a note of suede actually, and that note is absent. It's not there in Lacoste Blanc with Parfum, and I think it's part of what was making its charm of the original fragrance. Still, Lacoste Blanc with Parfum is a great fragrance, but the disappointment is that there's not that nice note of suede in the fragrance. And if it would have been there, it would be the best Lacoste Blanc, but because it's not, it's still the original that's the best. Number 4 is Ralph's Club, and Ralph's Club is just another boring fragrance like all the other ones. It shows itself as an high-class fragrance, and it's just a normal mass appealing fragrance. Wouldn't say that it's bad. We would even say that in the mass appealing category of fragrance, it might be the best release of this year. But from Ralph Lauren, I was expecting something more classic, something different, especially something that shows itself as a fragrance to wear with a tuxedo. For me, if you wear a polo like the shirt, I think you'll be over the rest for this fragrance. So I think their marketing is bad. I think the fragrance is a bit disappointing. It's not a bad fragrance. If you like mass appealing fragrance, it's probably the best bet you're gonna have this year. But it's not at all what I expected. With the ads, with people talking about it at the beginning, I was able to smell it pretty early on, but it's not what I expected, and I was a bit disappointed by it. Number 3, we're gonna stay with the same brand, and it's Polo Cologne Intense. And why I would say it's a disappointment is that when I saw that they were making a flanker of the original Polo, I expected something, again, different than what it actually is. Of course, it says Cologne, so I was imagining something fresh. It says intense, so something powerful, but I don't think the intense is so there in reality. And for me, it's not even a flanker of Polo, the original Polo, which is why it's big disappointment. I think it's more a flanker of Polo Spa, has more similarity to Polo Spa. Maybe somehow you see that it's inspired from the original Polo, but I would say it's different enough to not being an actual flanker. And I'm afraid that they will discontinue the original Polo because they made the flanker, and they would want to sell the flanker instead of the old one, even though the original Polo is the best fragrance they made. And still, yeah, the reason it's the disappointment is that for me, it's not even a Polo like green, it's Polo Sport in disguise. And it's not woody. It's woody, but it's compared to the old one, it's not woody. Number 2 is The Most Wanted by Azzaro. And this fragrance, I would say it smells better than Wanted by Night. It's somehow a good Wanted flanker, but I don't really like the Wanted line. But as a fragrance as a whole, I think it's really not nice. It's just caramel. Why it's disappointing is that the trend this year. Seems that they saw that Invictus Victory released a new fragrance, or I mean Invictus had a new fragrance in the line, the Invictus Victory. They wanted a piece of this, and they just made a worst version of it. For me, it's really is similar to Invictus Victory. It just doesn't have like the life or the edge of Invictus Victory. It's just got the boring part of it without all the nice thing of it. I know a lot of people love this fragrance, but for me, it's the worst fragrance that was released this year. But the worst fragrance I think that was released this year is The Most Wanted. It's just my opinion. You might love it, and don't feel offended if I don't enjoy it, because you probably have fragrance you hate that I absolutely love. And now, number 1 fragrance that was a disappointment in 2021 is Paco Rabanne Phantom. And everything in the fragrance is disappointing. It was released like so long after that they were talking about the fragrance that it's going to be something great. Everyone was talking about it. I think the fact that the bottle is a robot kind of helped people talking about it, but it's going to be great fragrance. There's 4 people at the time that worked on creating the scent. I mean, it's gonna be amazing. Everything you see, it's gonna be amazing, with some lavender note or some lemon. I don't remember how they were marketing it at the time, but it seems to be something really great, especially that every single fragrance was gonna be a caramel fragrance this year. It was great to see something different in every sense of it, but then the smell is just another generic fragrance. And I saw someone saying one comment that sums it all is, how can 4 people work on something that is so generic? And I think it's still somehow a good fragrance, but more for younger people, especially because of the shape of the bottle. I think if you're young and you like the shape of the bottle, you're gonna like the fragrance. If you look at the bottle, you think it's childish, you're probably not gonna enjoy the fragrance. It was a good fragrance for the market they're having, but overall as a scent, I think really 4 people working on this and coming to something that generic disappointing. But again, I think what really makes the fragrance disappointing is how much hype there was, how much everyone is talking about it. There was picture everywhere for a good month before it was released and before other fragrance kind of took over. And it was gonna be a big release, not the biggest release like Scandale pour Homme by Jean-Paul Gaultier. That was the first Not Le Male since years, but still, it was supposed to be a big release, and it didn't live to the expectation. So that's about it. That's my 5 biggest disappointment of 2021. There was a lot of good fragrance, but I wanted to go with a top 5 disappointment. I wouldn't do a top 5 best because I haven't smelled enough of the release. There are so many releases this year that I don't think I should do a top 5 best. Might figure something to talk about a top 5 best or the good release of this year, but really a top 5 best, I don't think I've smelled enough fragrance with all the release that there was to do this. But still, I got a couple enough to say which one was not up to the expectation. So hope you enjoyed the video. If it's the case, well, like and share. If there's different fragrance that you believe are really disappointing that was released this year, write it in the comment. Also, if you disagree with my list and there's a fragrance you think is absolutely mind-blowing and it was better than your expectation, write it in the comment. Tell me why you think it's an amazing fragrance. So thanks for watching and see you soon.